A big-time fight at Delta Center, but the Magic defense puts the final spell on the Jazz as the 20th turnover of the night meant Utah didn't get a final shot. It's next on Postcast.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
David Locke along with Ron Boone as the Utah Jazz fall to the Orlando Magic 115-113 in a heck of a game. Jazz started brilliantly, led by 10 early. Magic dominated the second quarter, took a 10-point lead, actually took a 14-point lead in the third. Then the Jazz regained control of the game. And then we went back and forth down late. Paulo Banchero scoring 6 straight late. Some miraculous threes by Lauri Markkanen, and the Jazz actually had a final possession with 1.3 seconds left with a chance to win it. But an inbound pass goes by Keontae George and turns it over. The 20th turnover of the night of the Jazz. And the Jazz go to 2-4. The Magic go 2-2 on this road trip. Have to be really excited about that. The story of this night, though, is the tenacious pressure defense of the Orlando Magic, the third best defense in the NBA coming in. They were the third best defense in the NBA after their 5-20 start last year. And they were the third best team in the league, or second best team in the league at forcing turnovers coming into this. What do they do defensively, and why did it cause the Jazz problems?
Well, it's just so much pressure they put on you, and they kind of speed you up a little bit. And they got the Jazz in the point where they wanted to drive every time to the basket. And then they were switching all over the floor. That's one heck of a defensive scheme that they have. That'll win a lot of basketball games for them, even though, if you're not a very good shooting team, it'll keep you in the basketball game, that's for sure.
Is there a way the Jazz could have combated it better than they did tonight?
If they had a way of slowing the game down, slowing it down a little bit, to the point where they could get some jump shots instead of having to force the way to the basket every time off the dribble. Now, is that the best way to go about it? Is that what the coach wanted to do? It's drive to the basket and kick it out to the corners. They cut the corners off there as well. So I think the next time they play this team, maybe they'll have it figured out.
Jordan goes 5 of 20 tonight with 6 turnovers. Now, it's vital. I put my keys of the game out, and one of my keys to the game was that somebody other than Lowry had to help. John Collins did do that. But it's vital the Jazz get something out of Jordan. Why was this such a tough night on Jordan Clarkson?
Well, again, speed him up. He's used to speeding the defender up, with his dribbling and changing directions and that type of thing to get a shot up. But they were speeding him up more so, I think, than they wanted to. And then they would cut him off. He made a couple of bad decisions there in that fourth quarter. In particular, he had one late in the fourth quarter that really cost the Jazz there as well. But just by speeding him to the point where he just wanted to get rid of the basketball and ended up throwing it away.
Jordan's had a bunch of tough nights tonight. Is there this year? Is there something about this roster, a lack of three-point shooting, a lack of spacing that's not giving him enough room to work to be able to do Jordan Clarkson things? We haven't seen him be able to get into the lane, do the pivots, do all that kind of stuff. Instead, we're seeing him getting in the lane and being completely collapsed on. Is there something about this that this is his life with this team?
He changed the way he plays last season, getting some assists and not playing with the ball in his hands all the time. I don't know. I think this is a small sample size right now for him going forward as far as his offensive game is concerned. So I think that after this road trip, we'll probably have a pretty good idea on, if he's just struggling or has the defense figured him out.
All right, here's the one tonight. In the second quarter tonight, the Orlando Magic take 13 shots at the rim. In the third quarter, they take another 8. I haven't looked to see what they did in the fourth quarter. But they did something. They made an adjustment somewhere in this game tonight, Ron, where they suddenly were getting the ball in the middle of the floor, and guys were slicing and cutting behind the Jazz defense. Either there was a really bad play late where one of our players got caught ball watching with about 10:45 left in the fourth quarter, and Will Hardy promptly adjusted the lineup. What did the Magic do to the Jazz defensively that allowed them to go get those shots and get that action behind the basket?
I think if you pay attention to the lineups that Will was trying to put out on the floor, pay attention to at the center position, in particular Walter Kessler. They don't have to worry about him away from the basket. They have to worry about him at the rim. So And Walter Kessler tonight, what did he?
He had 5 blocks. I think almost all of them in the first quarter,
Yeah.
right? I mean, he was a force in the first quarter of this game, and then the Magic changed something, and he wasn't able to have that same impact.
Yeah, it's coaches are pretty smart.
Yeah, Mosley's good.
And then you start to figure things out. This is what he did last year, and he just dominated the paint. Can we take that away? And you start figuring things out.
It's really interesting. The Magic took 4 shots at the rim in the first quarter. They took 13 shots at the rim in the second quarter. And then they took another 8 shots at the rim in the third quarter. A mammoth adjustment made by the Magic in this game offensively against the Jazz defense. This was not the Magic are not a good offensive team. This was not a bad Jazz defensive night. The Magic's offensive rating at the end of the night was a 108.6. So that's actually a pretty good defensive night for the Jazz. The Jazz offense, on the other hand, which was so good last night, was a 105.7, turning the ball over 20% of their possessions tonight, I believe it was.
And that's the killer right there. 20, and you give up 20 points off of those turnovers. That's the killer right there. Regardless of how great that defense and how much pressure they put on you, the turnovers really make a big difference in the ballgame. Now, speeding you up, you want to get rid of the basketball, ill-advised passes, looking like something's open and it's really not. I mean, the Jazz never had to operate late in the clock because the Magic just was able to speed them up.
If I'm a Jazz fan tonight, and I don't mean to promote this, but I would look at 15 free throws by Paolo Banchero and 2 free throws from Lauri Markkanen and be like, what the?
Yeah, I agree with that.
How? First of all, Lowry's not going to the line at all. Lowry, who was going to the line 7-8 times a game, is not going to the line anymore. So why is Lowry going to the line twice and Paolo Banchero's going to the line 15 times?
I think that'll change. This is early in the year. This is only the 5th game of the year. I think that'll change. He'll start getting to the free throw line. I think 6-7 free throws a game would be good for him tonight. He gets only 2. Got 2 free throws. And
yeah, he missed them both. Remember?
He missed them both. So
he really gamed it tonight. He did not look good after that big fall.
Yeah.
Hit 2 big threes late in the ballgame. The Jazz are playing with a multiple guard set. They went to Hunger Games with 5 guards. The only guy on the roster who's probably a point guard is Chris Dunn. Keontae shared with us that he did not play point guard until midway through his senior high school year when one of the players got hurt. He didn't play at Baylor. And you could see tonight at some times where he was really uncomfortable. Sexton, Will Hardy shared last night with the media that they've moved him off the ball so he can just attack. Jordan is not really a point guard. Talen Horton-Tucker is trying to learn how to play point guard. He played it for the first time last year in the final 25 games. So the Jazz went with this combo guard set. It feels as though there are a lot of mistakes coming out of the guard line, and that trying to do this mutual, everyone brings the ball up, everyone kind of collective effort is awfully hard to get high-level execution out of right now.
I totally agree with that, David, if they would do it so we can see if it works.
Fair.
You know what I mean? And I just haven't seen it enough of that or them trying to do it. We watch it in practice. We watch the movement, how they run, they push the ball ahead without dribbling it up and things like that. But until we get a sample size of that, then I'd like to see.
Paolo Banchero had 30 tonight, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. I had some doubts on him.
He went to the free throw line 15 times.
He went to the free throw line 15 times to cover up but he hit a big 3. Yeah. He was pretty big time today.
Yeah, he really was. Started off slow, but really came on strong, especially in that the second half for the most part. Getting to the free throw line a lot in that second half.
Give the Magic credit. They were doing this without their starting point guard, Markelle Fulton, without Gary Harris, who got hurt halfway through the game.
Just think about that. Suggs ended up playing 21 minutes, but he was a non-factor because he was in foul trouble. He's sitting on the bench quite a bit.
He plays so hard. He can't shoot a lick. What do you shoot, 1 of 7 again tonight? Gosh,
1 of 7.
I love him so much. I love his game. I just wish they had Joe Ingles play point guard for a while tonight. Joe played 22 minutes. The mantra, everyone, and I don't want to fight the crowd here, but the mantra is Keontae's got to play point guard. Keontae was not innocent of mistakes tonight either.
No, he definitely was not.
I mean, I think that's important. We can't just give him Keontae. If Keontae looks great. He made some fabulous plays in the first half. He did some fabulous. He's gonna have to earn this. Everyone in the world would love Keontae to start at point guard tomorrow tomorrow if he earned it. But like there were enough mistakes tonight that like I don't think you're Will Hardy. You're ready to say, oh, he just earned being the point guard. He made some nice plays. He beautiful left hand bounce pass in the pocket. He made a nice read, in my opinion, like a rookie often will drive the baseline into the teeth of the defense. He actually stopped and got rid of the ball, which showed me some growth. But he also had 3, I think, mammoth turnovers from the top and the point guard. I don't know if he finished with 2 or 3, he might have gotten one of them back. So there is just still a lot of growth that you need him to have along the way. But there's certainly no question right now that guard play is prohibiting the Jazz from being able to make in a night like tonight. This is probably one of the most difficult matchups for guards in the league. They pick you up at 35 feet. They're in on you on every step. They bother you. They steer you. And that's a weakness on this roster. So this was a particularly hard matchup for the Jazz.
Yeah, it showed the guard line does not have the ability to control what the Jazz want to do or what they're trying to do out there on the floor. So with having said that, we've talked so much about, I grew up in the NBA, ABA, just a 2-guard front. Point guard, what is that? And I think the point guard, the power forward, the three player and all that kind of stuff came along later. And so I'm still a believer in a 2-guard front, but you got to have something that goes with that.
John Collins had big numbers tonight. He had 20 points, 10 rebounds tonight. Lauri Markkanen finished with 22 and 7, 2 steals. Omer Yurtseven came off the bench for 7 points in a really solid 8 minutes. Showed what a pro he is tonight. What are you doing for stars, Ron Boone?
Well, you like what he did because I thought he was really stable out there on the floor. He made some things happen. He rebounded. What is he? 3 for 3 there from the field.
Hit a corner 3.
He was a big body.
Yeah,
you didn't move him around. That type of thing. And so, but if you're going to give a star to game, you just probably have to go Markkanen. Yep. The big bucket. John Collins, 10 rebounds.
Kessler. Bunch of corner 3s. John's now shooting over 40% on corner 3s.
Yeah. Tonight, 3 for 4 from the corner, and he missed the big one.
He missed a big one. He also got beat defensively on the final play, I believe, by Boncaro. So that's why I was questioning whether maybe Omer Yurtseven got that star instead of in Lowry. I was kind of going Lowry for battling through the back and Omer for the bench, but John had a really good night, has career high points for the Jazz.
Lowry at the big bucket.
So Lowry gets a star.
Yeah.
You guys can decide whether Omer or John gets the other star. That is postcast tonight. Thank you very much. Sorry there was no Locked on Jazz today. Had responsibilities. Didn't want to do it at 5 o'clock in the morning, but I will have one for you tomorrow morning. Have a great one. Talk to you soon.